Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my weekly live stream on culture and leadership. I'm Daniela Messinek Young, TEDx speaker, author, combat veteran, and organizational culture hacker. These live streams are sponsored by Cadmus HR, an amazing tech company that is making HR accessible to small businesses. So check them out at www.cadmushr.com. Every week at 12:30 Pacific Time, 2:30 Central, I post a blog and do a conversation about something that is kind of a deep dive into something with culture. And I just forgot I need to set my clock so I don't go too long. Um, and so today, my talk is called Mommy or My Baby's Gonna Die. And the theme is slow down and be kind. So let me tell you why. As you know, I like to take ordinary life events, things that happen to my little brand new 4-year old daughter, or brand newly 4 years old, to the hospital to get her shots. And she knew she was going to get shots, and she was very scared, as kids are, when they're going to get stabbed multiple times with a needle. So, of course, we talked about it. We talked about how vaccines are very important. They prevent diseases that can kill us or make us really sick, and that, it is painful, it's a prick, and it prevents all this bad stuff. And we talked about how Mommy could get her flu shot first, and how her little toys, Rufus and Hugsy, could also come along and they could get their shots. And then my daughter, Lorelai, would see that there is nothing to be afraid of. And so that was the plan. And so we went into the hospital and things started to fall apart because our normal hospital didn't have the vaccine. So we had to go somewhere else. So we went somewhere else and they absolutely refused to let me go first because my daughter's appointment was at 10:30 and my appointment was at 10:45. And so, all right, I wasn't going to push it. My daughter's stressed out. Let's just get through this. And so I, completely not breaking character, was like telling to the nurse, Lorelai just wants to know if Rufus and Hugsy can also get their shots today. And without seemingly understanding the joke or the whatever, she said to me, well, if they're not on the schedule, they can't get shots today. She walked out of the room. And next time we saw her, she was packing with syringes. And I was very taken aback. Granted, they are not on my insurance plan, the stuffed animals, but I kind of felt like anyone working with kids knows that this is the drill. We proceeded to have a pretty traumatic experience. She had to get 5 vaccinations, and she was begging and pleading, "Can you just get mommy? Can you please get mommy?" But the literally most heartbreaking part came when I was carrying my sobbing daughter out to the car, and she said to me, "Mommy, what's going to happen? Are my babies going to die because they didn't get their vaccines?" And of course, as a mother, I was heartbroken. Like we all have to go through this as parents, where we tell our children we will never let anyone hurt them, and then we hold them down for doctors to give them shots or stitch up foreheads or whatever it is that they have to go through. Um, but later that same day, I did a interview on my show, which maybe some of you saw live streamed yesterday and will be out on the podcast in April, with a woman named Dr. Suzanne Roberts. And she talked about, her number one culture tip for everyone was slow down and be kind. And I thought that was so great, and I thought that was so applicable. And it also reminded me of a great mentor of mine who once gave me the advice that leadership is love. And considering we were all officers in the U.S. Army, I didn't immediately see that at the time, but I do now. As someone who studies leadership and culture has always kind of stuck with me, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit today as well. So I ended up writing the hospital a letter One of the things that occurred to me when I went to write a letter to the hospital as I was searching for a feedback form was that I've had 4 years of wonderful experiences in this hospital and never given them positive feedback. But as soon as I had a negative experience, of course, I was looking to give them feedback. And I felt pretty guilty about that and made sure to give them positive feedback both up front and at the end. But just to simply state my concern that I think, we need to slow down more next time. And then I was thinking about it for today and definitely wanted to talk about it on my live stream, from this perspective of organizational culture and leadership. And so as I do, here's 5 points of how we can, I think, implement leadership is love in our organizations, on our teams, and how do we take this healthy concept and make it kind of tactical. So the first one, which I'm borrowing from Dr. Roberts, is slow down and be kind. In the situation, in the example I gave about my daughter, I don't think the nurse was actually trying to tell me that the stuffed animals couldn't receive their shots. I think she was just too busy and too brusque to understand that I was asking for a little play acting, or that maybe she should consider switching the appointments around, and that a little bit of slowing down and understanding that it's something that is completely routine every day in her job is an extremely traumatic moment in the life of a 4-year-old. Then the second point is flip the situation around, right? And the hospital's response to me on this was really great. They tried to mitigate what happened to us, understand, said they were going to dig into it more, said they were going to do some teaching, and I appreciated that. I don't think our nurse was evil Nurse Ratched. I don't think she wanted to emotionally or physically hurt my child. I just think that she was busy. And I think with leaders, when we hear something upsetting that somebody on our team did, we can understand that, most people are trying to do a good job. And so how do we need to flip the situation around and understand it from a different perspective? The third point is we can always try to use imperfect situations as opportunities for learning and growth and not for heads to roll. And that builds on, if we understand that most of our team members do want to do the right thing, they do want to make their superiors happy, we can use unfortunate situations as teach moments. I hope that my letter to the hospital becomes a case study on how somebody just doing their job, probably checking every box, doing the right thing, resulted in kind of a significant emotional event for a client and their family, rather than trying to point blame at one person. Number 4 is, and this was really on me with this situation, and I think it's always a good thing to remember, is remember to compliment, not just correct. I almost didn't even submit my complaint yesterday when I realized that I had thought so many times, so many positive things. I always leave that hospital with a smile on my face. My daughter's happy, and she's happy to go back there. And so just remembering, I think, from a leadership perspective, that we need to comment and actively take opportunities to compliment when things are done right, not only when they're done wrong. And then number 5 is don't respond in anger, which is, of course, very different from don't get angry, because that's impossible. We're humans. We're going to anger. But understanding that when we approach people with anger, their evolutionary human response is to shut down or to justify or to discount what we're saying. And so, you might never be able to get to the situation where your team member feels comfortable and feels like they can explain to you their perspective and their point of view, to allow you to flip the situation around, to allow you to slow down and be kind, and to allow you sort of all those other tips. So it's never bad to slow down and take an additional moment to think about what we need to do, how we need to approach a situation, and wait till the angry feelings subside and before proceeding. And that is what I got for today on my episode of Mommy, Are My Babies Gonna Die? Slow down and be kind. Slow down and be kind. Let's all take a moment to just put good feelings out in the world. And this is how we start to build the culture in our organizations. So thank you so much for joining me today. Tune in every Tuesday for our chat.